2 years ago, I bought a cabin on the edge of Crescent Lake, a quiet gym tucked in the rolling hills of Northern California. It was June 2023, and I was done with the grind of city life in Sacramento, where my desk job left me feeling like a ghost in my own life. The cabin, a weathered cedar beauty surrounded by whispering pines, was my escapee, a place to reconnect with memories of my dad, who taught me how to cast a line and build a fire with nothing but patience and a spark. I'm Ethan Cole, by the way, just a guy trying to carve out a slice of peace. The cabin wasn't in the fancy Crescent Shores HOA across the cove, which kept it affordable. No fees, no rules about how tall my grass could grow or what color my mailbox should be. It was mine, free and clear, so I thought. Trouble started with Miranda Tate, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA. She was the kind of woman who carried a clipboard like a scepter, her sharp eyes scanning for anything out of line. The first time she marched up my gravel path, she complained about smoke from my campfire drifting across the water. I smiled, offered her a cold lemonade, and said I'd keep it low. The second time, she griped about my Boata modest 18-foot fishing rig I'd saved years to buy, nothing flashy, just enough for my sister's kids to pile onto for lazy summer rides. To Miranda, it was a visual blight. She claimed all boats needed HOA approval, even though my land wasn't under her thumb. I tried kindness, invited her to fish off my dock, but kindness doesn't always work with someone who thrives on power. One humid July evening, I came back from town with groceries and found a neon yellow notice taped to my door: illegal vessel. Remove immediately or face penalties. Signed, Miranda Tate, HOA President. I laughed, then crumpled it into the trash. My mistake. Miranda didn't like being ignored. The next weekend, I was out on the water, the sunset painting the lake gold, when I spotted her on the bluff across the cove, binoculars glinting. I waved, thinking maybe she'd soften. Instead, she pulled out her phone. Hours later, as stars pricked the sky, red and blue lights flashed across the lake, sharp as broken glass. Two sheriff's deputies rolled up in their cruiser, gravel crunching under tires. Miranda stood on my dock, arms crossed so tight I thought she'd snap, pointing at my boat and yelling, "That's the illegal vessel. He's ruining this lake." My stomach knotted, but I stayed calm, hands resting on the boat's railing, the same boat Dad and I used to dream about owning. The cicadas buzzed, the only sound cutting the tension. Deputy Lucas Grant, young but steady, pulled out a notepad. "Sir, can we see your registration?" I grabbed the laminated card from my tackle box and handed it over. Lucas scanned it, then turned to Miranda, one eyebrow raised. "Ma'am, this checks out. Registration's current." Her smug grin cracked. Her phone, recording the whole scene, dipped in her hand. Deputy Owen Carter, older and quieter, added, "This parcel's outside your HOA. You've got no jurisdiction here." Miranda's face went pale, her voice a whisper. "That can't be right." She stumbled back, nearly tripping over a dock cleat. I offered her a water bottle, but she swatted it away, muttering about the HOA board and storming off. The deputies tipped their hats, wished me a good night, and left. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. The next week, Miranda upped the ante. Another notice on my door, this time threatening fines for shoreline violations. I ignored it, but the pressure kept building. My neighbor, Clara Brooks, a warm woman in her 70s who lived down the inlet with her grandson Noah, warned me. "Miranda's been at this for years," she said, handing me a blueberry scone. She fussed about my wind chimes last fall, called them unapproved noise. Keep your eyes open, Ethan. My buddy Sam Reed, a mechanic with a rusty pickup and a heart bigger than the lake, checked my boat's engine and suggested locking the gas cap. "Kindness is good," he said, "but don't leave the door open for trouble." Then came the storm. It was a muggy Friday night, clouds stacking like dark towers over the hills. I was securing my boat when I saw a shape at the edge of my property, a hooded figure in a raincoat, standing by a skiff marked Compliance Recovery. Miranda. Two men in the boat held a heavy tow rope. She shouted over the wind, "We're impounding that boat." I stepped onto the dock, rain stinging my face. "You're trespassing." The deputies already settled this. She held up her phone, an email glowing on the screen. "Emergency HOA action. We're taking it." Before I could argue, one of the men tossed the rope toward my boat. It caught the rail, and the skiff's engine roared, yanking my boat against the dock with a sickening crunch. Miranda grabbed the line, pulling hard, but her shoes slipped on the wet boards. The rope looped around her wrist, and the skiff's pull dragged her toward the edge. Lightning cracked, blinding white. She screamed, her body tilting over the water. "Stop the motor!" I yelled, lunging for the rope. The men in the skiff froze, finally seeing her. I dove for the knot, fingers slipping in the rain, as Miranda's knees scraped the dock. Her eyes met mine raw, terrified, human. "Help!" she gasped. I grabbed her arm, pulling with everything I had as the rope bit into the rail. The skiff's engine cut, and the line slackened just enough. I yanked her back, and she collapsed, gasping, rain mixing with tears. The deputies arrived minutes later, their sirens slicing through the storm. Lucas shook his head at the scene. "Ma'am, you're lucky to be alive. This boat's legal. You've got no rights here." Miranda, shaking, didn't argue. I offered her water again. She took it this time, her hands trembling, but her eyes still burned with defiance. She limped off into the night, leaving me with a dented boat and a heavier heart. The next morning, a black SUV rolled up. A man stepped out, polished shoes crunching gravel. "Nathan Wells, HOA attorney, all smooth talk and veiled threats. Relocate your boat to the public marina, Mr. Cole, or face a nuisance lawsuit." I laughed, but my chest tightened. "My land's not yours to control." Miranda, bandaged but unbowed, stepped out behind him. "You should have let me drown," she spat. I shook my head. "That's not what neighbors do." Sam pulled up in his truck, glaring at Wells. "You've got no case. This is harassment." Wells smiled, cold as the lake in winter. "Lawsuits aren't about winning. They're about breaking you." He drove off, leaving dust and dread in his wake. That evening, I found an orange lock clamped to my boat's steering wheel, a tag signed by Miranda dangling from it. My blood boiled. Sam cursed. "They're out of their minds." I called Lucas, who arrived and snapped photos. "This is tampering," he said. "Want to press charges?" I nodded. "Yes, this stops now." But it didn't. The next day, Miranda led a mob of HOA members to my driveway, waving signs. "Protect our lake. Ban illegal boats." She blared through a bullhorn. "Ethan Cole's boat destroys our community." I stepped out, voice steady. "You're trespassing. Leave." She sneered, but before she could retort, a silver car pulled up. Out stepped Caleb Morse, a young lawyer with sharp eyes and a calm I trusted. He held up a court injunction. "HOA members are barred from this property, effective now." The crowd scattered, Miranda's face red with fury. "This isn't over," she screamed, storming off. That night, I woke to an engine's hum. On the dock, Miranda stood in a skiff, crowbar raised. "This boat's a menace," she yelled, swinging at the hull. The clang echoed like a gunshot. Sam and I rushed out, wrestling the crowbar free as she fought like a cornered animal. "It's my lake," she screamed. Then, tears streaming, she broke. "My husband's gone, my kids don't call. The HOA's all I have." I stared, stunned, as deputies hauled her away. Her words lingered, heavy as the crowbar sinking into the lake. Hours later, sirens wailed again. Clara's cottage was ablaze across the cove, flames licking the sky. Sam and I raced over, choking on smoke. Firefighters pulled Clara and Noah out, coughing but alive. Clara whispered, "I smelled gasoline." Caleb arrived, his face grim. "This isn't just HOA nonsense. It's a crime ring. They want the lake for a luxury resort." My heart sank. My boat, Clara's homite, was never about rules. It was about greed. We fought back. Caleb, Sam, and I slipped into the HOA office at midnight, copying files that tied Miranda, Wells, and Watermark Estates to a shady development deal. As we left, Wells's SUV blocked us. "Hand over the drive," he snarled. Miranda, beside him, glared. Before we could answer, deputies swarmed, arresting them for conspiracy, arson, and fraud. The lake was ours again. A week later, I sat on my dock with Clara and Noah, the sunset soft on the water. My boat, dented but proud, bobbed beside us. Clara touched my arm. "You saved more than your home, Ethan. You saved us all." I smiled, whispering to Dad's memory, "We did it." "So, where are you hearing this from? A city apartment, a small town, maybe your own lakefront? And tell me, what would you have done? Pressed charges against Miranda or shown mercy? Fought for your land or sold out? Would you risk everything for your neighbors or protect your own peace first? Drop your thoughts below. I am dying to hear what you think. Like, subscribe, and let's keep this story going.